We now come to the greatest playwright of the English-speaking language, William Shakespeare. Much of the time, people draw their impressions of Shakespeare based on their first encounter. Most conclude that his work is hard, if not impossible, to understand. And it's true. Experiencing Shakespeare's work is not for the faint of heart. Shakespeare is like scaling the height of a beautiful mountain. It's a difficult task, but it's well worth the effort once you've climbed to the summit. In an era of game shows and reality television, it's difficult at first to understand Shakespeare, let alone enjoy his work. But there is within the work of William Shakespeare a music which reveals to the audience what it means to be a human being. And what makes Shakespeare a genius is that this occurs in the sound of every syllable that his play makes. In fact, it's the way Shakespeare arranged the syllables in his dialogue that sets it apart from all other drama. Little is known about Shakespeare's early life. From records, we know that he was born in Stratford, England, to John Shakespeare. We know that he was baptized on April 26, 1564, just 12 years before James Burbage built the theater. He married at a young age and fathered 3 children. Shortly after this, he came to London, for reasons unknown, and stayed. He became an actor of small roles for James Burbage's Lord Chamberlain's Men. Because the acting companies of this time were paid on a profit-sharing plan, it is likely that Shakespeare began writing plays to increase his salary. Shakespeare was not university trained and therefore did not belong to the university wits. In fact, there appears to have been a streak of envy that ran through the university wits regarding Shakespeare. When his plays began to be produced with enormous popularity, using the same techniques that the university wits employed, a member of the group, Robert Greene, published a pamphlet making fun of Shakespeare's pretensions by saying that he had a tiger's heart wrapped in a player's hide. However, Shakespeare ultimately became a giant among the gifted authors of London. He excelled not only as a playwright, but as a poet. He wrote some of his greatest poetry during the Black Plague, when all the theaters were closed down. When the plague ended and the ban on playing it was lifted, Shakespeare returned to the theater and wrote some of his greatest plays. Shakespeare excelled in all 3 styles of Elizabethan drama: tragedies, comedies, and histories. Among his greatest tragedies are King Lear, Othello, and, of course, Hamlet. His most respected comedies include A Midsummer Night's Dream, As You Like It, and Twelfth Night. His best-known histories included Richard II as well as 2 parts of Henry IV, which introduced one of the greatest comic characters of all time, Falstaff. And of course, there were other plays written by Shakespeare that seemed to defy category. Shakespeare is also attributed with coining words and phrases that have become a part of the English language. In this sense, Shakespeare not only elevated the English language, but to a very real extent helped to create it. The words that Shakespeare entered into the English lexicon include bedroom, moonbeam, zany, hint, blushing, majestic, amazement, blanket, laughable, addiction, hyperbole, and negotiate, among many more. One of the main reasons for the success of playwriting in Elizabethan England was the ability of the playwrights to utilize a poetic meter devised by the Italians known as the Iambic Pentameter. The Iambic Pentameter is a poetic framework that emulates the human heartbeat. This meter functions much like 4/4 time in music to set up a basic time pattern for delivery and allows the performer to improvise within this time frame. The Iambic pentameter arranges syllables on a line. Let's take a look at a famous line from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. "But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun." The first 2 words make up what is referred to as a couplet. 2 syllables with stress on the first syllable and the second syllable left unstressed. But soft. The line continues. what light through yonder window breaks? The pulse of the line is set up like the human heartbeat. There are 5 couplets on a line in this meter. Using this meter, the actor will deliver the line with variations on the pulse. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? The speech continues. It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. The second line, too, scans in the iambic pentameter. It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. As the playwriting of the era progressed, the use of the iambic pentameter became more complicated. Here are a few lines from Shakespeare's play King Lear. Meantime, we shall express our darker purpose. Give me the map there. Know that we have divided in 3 our kingdom, and 'tis our fast intent to shake all cares and business from our age. You'll notice that the iambic pentameter does not scan as neatly as it does for Romeo and Juliet. The end of the first line, our darker purpose, ends with 3 syllables. This has the effect of compressing the line. The ideas are more dense, so the line has a certain gravity. The short phrase that opens the second line, give me the map there, also seems to defy the neatness of the iambic pentameter as we see it used in Romeo and Juliet. There's a good reason for this. This tragedy is a much more dense and dark tragedy, omitting the beauty that we associate with love. As a result, Shakespeare breaks the rules of the iambic pentameter with breathtaking results. Well, that ends this unit. It's time to go to your task for this section. When we come back, we'll look at costume and makeup design. We'll see you next time.